Hi, this is Professor Shoemaker, and this week's topic is about what-if analysis. And so what we're going to look at here in this video are one and two variable data tables. But first, this takes a little bit of setup on the problem. So suppose you work for a company named Acme Widgets, and what they want to do is produce a new model of Q27 widget. And they don't really know how much it's going to sell in the marketplace. What they have done is the marketing people have estimated they'll sell 2,500 units at $1,400 a piece. The engineering people have said the cost of materials is going to cost about $1,100 per widget. And then there are some other costs here for sales and marketing, payroll, and overhead. There's really two flavors of costs here. This part here, the cost of materials, is a variable cost. That means that for each widget you make, it's going to cost you $1,100. And the more widgets you make, the more your materials will cost you. Those are called variable costs. These down here are called fixed costs. The sales and marketing, payroll, overhead. They're what are called the cost to keep the lights on. That is, these costs don't vary based on how many widgets you make and sell. If you don't make and sell any at all, you're still going to be spending $595,000. So the fixed cost number is a number that you have to sell enough units to overcome. Now, over here, we have some projections based on the assumptions here. So there's really two sides of this, the assumptions and the projections. The revenue number here is just the units sold times the selling price. So if we sell 2,500 units at $1,400 a piece, we'll make $3.5 million in revenue. The cost to make those will be the units sold times the cost of materials. So we'll spend $2,750,000 on materials. Those are our variable costs. Then finally, that's a negative number, and then finally we have the fixed cost here, which is just this number carried over. It's just a reference to C15. So if this works out the way we think it will, we'll make $155,000 of net profit. That's the $3.5 million of revenue, less the variable cost, less the fixed cost, gives us a net profit of $155,000. Now, all of this is just projections based on the assumptions that we're making, and management wants to know, what if we're wrong? So what if we don't sell 2,500 units? What if we sell 2,000 units instead? So we could type in 2,000 here and see that, wow, we're only going to make $5,000 on 2,000 units. What if we sold only 1,500 units? Now we're losing $145,000. On the other hand, what if we sold 3,000 or 3,500 units? Now we're going to make $450,000. Now you could try out a bunch of values for units sold and then copy out the net profit, but Excel offers a way of generating net profit and for example, revenue amounts for a variety of different values for units sold. So let's put this back to the 2,500 it was beforehand. Now, so here's our initial assumptions. 2,500 units at $1,400 a piece, net profit $155,000. What we're going to do over in this area here is build what's called a one variable data table. What we're going to vary is the units sold. So let's say that we're going to vary it from 1,000 units in steps of 500 all the way down to the bottom of this list here. And at that point, we'll sell 4,000 units. So we want to know what the revenue and net income will be for each one of these values. Now, Excel allows us to build a table like this where we're varying one value and generate several values from each value of this. So at 2,500, the revenue should be 3.5 million, and the net profit should be $155,000. So now that we put in the value that we're going to vary, what we need to do is make a couple of changes to this data table and set it up. So I'm going to walk you through that now. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is come up in this cell and just put in a label units sold. In this column, what I want to do is model revenue. So what I have to do in the top cell here, this header cell, is put a reference to the value I want to vary. That's revenue here, so I put in an F5 here. In this column, I want to model net profit. So I'm going to make a reference to that here. Press enter. Now, those are my headers, and it would be really nice if instead of having 3.5 million here or 155,000 here, I could actually display the words revenue and net income in this place. And actually Excel allows us to do that. I'm going to use what's called a custom format. So I'm on the Home tab here. I'm going to come up to the Number tab and click on the launcher. Up pops the format cells. I'm going to select Custom. And then in this box right here, I'm going to type revenue. You have to put it in quotes. Okay. This is a custom format that will override the number in the cell, no matter what the number is, and just display the word revenue. So I click on OK. And now the word revenue displays here, even though the cell actually has in it a reference to F5. So that allows us to put a title on the column, even though it has a number and a reference underneath. This is just for display. So let's put net income here. So I'll come up to the launcher and custom and type net income. You do have to put them in quotes. Net income. That is double quotes. So now I've got my table all set up. All I need to do is to tell Excel that I want to do values for revenue and net income for every one of these values of units sold. To do that, I select the whole table, including the header row. So I've selected this whole area right here. Then I come up to the Data tab and select What If Analysis, and then Data Table. And up pops a tiny little box that says, what do you want to do? Where is your row input cell? What is your column input cell? All we're going to use this one for is the column input cell, because this is a one variable data table and there's only one value being varied. Now, units sold is the value I want to vary, and it's in a column here in the table. It's not in a row, it's in a column. So I select the column input cell and simply come over here and point to units sold. $C, $5. It's an absolute reference automatically. And when I click on OK, poof, all the values get calculated in the data table just like that. So now I can see at 1,000 units sold, I'll make $1.4 million in revenue, but I'll lose $295,000 in net income. I finally break even or begin to make money here at about 2,000 units. Here's the 2,500 we originally modeled that gave us the 155,000. And oh, by the way, it's a good way of checking that your data table is working correctly by checking the cell for 2,500 and seeing that it has $3.5 million in revenue and 155,000 in net income. If we sell more units than we'll think, we'll make more money, actually a lot more money. So that's a one variable data table, and something that's commonly done here because we're interested in where we make money, the positive numbers here. I'm going to come up here in the net income column and add a conditional format that says if it's greater than 0, make it green. So now I can see the cells where I begin to make some money. Once you build a data table like this, you can come over and start making some changes. Suppose we didn't sell them for 1,400, we sold them for 1,600 instead. 1,600. If I try that, the table gets updated, and now I begin to make money at 1,500 units. What if I can't get 1,400, but can only get 1,200 for them, if that's all the customers will pay? Now I never make money at any of these different volumes of units sold. So it's very easy to answer questions, these kind of what-if questions that are a part of a typical business situation. That's what I wanted to say about a one-variable data table. I'm going to stop this video now and create a second one for the two-variable data table.